Hi there, I've got a gorgeous card here that uses our white and our new Wisteria card, which I absolutely adore. And it shows off some of the different ways you can use the Heraldic Square and our new floral element too. Just to introduce all the elements we'll be using on today's card, I have the Amazing Sentiments, which is a clear stamp set. I'm also going to be using the string flowers. This is the Heraldic Square from our frames and tags. The sentiment, we're cutting it out with the pierced flags. I will show you how to make a frame using the double pierced squares from our Noble collection. And here's a quick look at the Wisteria card. I just absolutely love this color, so pretty. Okay, let's set all these to the side. And I think we'll start with the frame, to be fair. That is probably the easiest place to begin. So I'm going to bring in my embossing plate here, piece of white card, and a couple different frame sizes. Now for this one, I'm using 3 of the different Noble double pierced squares. So what I like to do is tape them top and bottom. And I'm going to need a little more tape here. Center the center one there, and then do the inside one. Tape it. Okay. And then with the one in the middle there, I'm just going to tape it to the other 2 on the side. And I find this is the easiest way to do this. If you emboss first, then you don't have to worry about the die popping out of the die when you want to do the embossing. Go. And next we're going to transfer this to our cutting plate and just remove that center die now. And that's why I find it's easiest to tape it this way. Just get a hold of that piece of tape. Pick that out, pop that back on there. So now you have the 2 that you want to actually cut with, and they're still in place. Okay, you'll hear some cracking whenever you use large rings like this that don't have a lot of detail. It's just the sound of the dies actually going into the cutting mat. So it will cut down these sides as it rolls along. So you'll need to turn it so that the machine can cut the other 2 sides. Basically, it's just kind of a bump over those 2 sides the first time. There. And get our tape off. Those back into place, and don't forget to remove your center die. And you can use this for something else for a later project. So you've got a beautifully cut and detailed frame that I absolutely love, all the detail with the piercing in the center like that. So I've gone ahead and put some mounting foam onto one, so we'll have that for later. So set that to the side. The next thing I want to do is create the background behind that frame. So I've used the center of the Heraldic Square, just like this, and I've gone ahead and cut 4 of them. And just to be kind of quick about this, I think what I'll do is just use some spray glue on the back and get them all nice and glued. Actually, I missed that side. There we go. And the last one. There we go. So I'm going to kind of just put them up into each of the corners. Give them a second. Like that. So they'll just meet in the middle there. Okay. So now I can bring in my frame that I've already done the mounting foam on, peel the backing off, set that right over the top of those. And so I'll have a really pretty background there. Okay. Went ahead and cut and matted and layered some of the Wisteria Card. Now don't forget, you can also use these, rather than just making a frame out of them, use them to cut your mats. They're absolutely perfect for that. So I've got some real pretty piercing on the inside there. So I'm just going to use a little bit of Dry's Clear Glue here and pop this one into place. There we go. Right in the center. The glue will allow you to kind of move it around, get it exactly where you want it. So that's ready to go. I'm going to do a little bit more cutting, bring back my Heraldic Square, and I'm just going to use the outer part here and a little bit of tape. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll trade these out and use our smaller plates. Tape that into place and cutting mat. Give it a run through. Check it. Looks good. I'm going to do some embossing with that. Switch out my cutting plate for my embossing mat and plate. There we go. Okay. And just take away my extra bit here. Let me get my tape up. Don't forget, you've got a really pretty aperture with this too, so that can always be used for something else. Now I'm going to do some inking next, so I'm bringing in my Shaded Lilac Distress ink and a little smoothie, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to just grab a piece of paper just to see if I've got the right shade going on there. A little bit of inking right through that die. These smoothies are great for your inking. They're rounded on the end, so you have a nice smooth application of your ink. You won't end up with any hard edges like you can with some of the square pieces of foam. There we go, like that. Let's take that out. That to the side. You see how pretty that looks now. I'm going to put just a little bit of mounting foam on the back of that. And we'll center that right in the middle of our frame. There we go. And I'm going to put this kind of on a diamond orientation. That looks good. I've gone ahead and cut the center of it separately with a white on white tone. Put that in the middle. Just the very edge of that inking shows around that, really nice. And we're going to cut our sentiment too. So I'm going to bring in my pierced flags. Put that right over the top of that. Make sure it's nice and centered. And bring my cutting plate back over. And I'll tell you what, let's add one more piece of tape there. And we'll get that cut, and we'll do a little bit of inking on that as well. Okay. Oop. Remove the tape. Okay. And with the smoothie, I probably have enough ink on this just to bring in a little nice edge going around. Just to kind of highlight that sentiment there. There we go. So you can see just a real soft lilac color coming through that. A little bit of mounting foam on the back of that as well. So I'm going to seat that right across the center of my square, about like that. And I've gone ahead and cut some of the string flowers. Now these are really unique flowers in that You can leave them flat like this, or they have little individual layers that you can bring up. Now I decided I wanted to have it twofold, so the bottom one's going to be a little bit more flat. And I'm going to bring up the layers on the top flower just to give it a little more definition, and offset that ever so slightly on that. Give that a second to set up. And I've got a couple of the laurel leaves here, and we're just going to nip a tiny little section out of that on either one of them and use those. So glue dots, put my flower into place right on the end of my sentiment strip, so that'll hide the end of that. And I'll use some glue to tuck some of these little laurel leaves right underneath it. About like that. And that. These are nice because you can use any portion of that to give yourself exactly what size you need. So just finish that card off with a couple little flat back pearls in some of the corners there, and I think it's absolutely stunning. You've got some beautiful detail coming through with that heraldic square. You've enjoyed this. Do you know, we also have a lot of videos on our Creative Expressions YouTube channel, so you need to subscribe to it so it will give you a notice of when new videos are being released. And you can also like us on Facebook too. I'd really appreciate that.